Good morning, everyone. We're going to get started in about 10 minutes. We are going to start at 9. We'll just wait for a few more people to hop on. Good morning, everyone. As many of you have already met me yesterday, my name is Renee Castro. I'm the Regional Coordinator for the Southeast Region. And we are very happy to be back this morning. And we're just going to go ahead and get started right into our agenda to make sure we end on time. And today we're going to be doing an icebreaker Kahoot game. We're going to discuss enrichment opportunities, talk about tips and tricks for running your 4-H club, and then talk about the organizational leader report and service learning reporting. So again, thank you all for being here. One of the things that Xavier showed us yesterday were some easy to use online tools, and just kind of keeping with that theme this morning, we're going to show you a fun game that can be played with your kids or with adults. I play this game at a lot of meetings and I really enjoy it. It's fun, but it's called Kahoot. And I'm going to turn it over to Ashley Terry, who is the 4-H agent in St. John Parish, and Caitlin Lucas, who is the 4-H agent in West Feliciana Parish.
Hey guys. So I'm Ashley, and we have Caitlin. We're going to play a little Kahoot game with you guys.
Hey everybody, I'm Caitlin. I'm trying to fix my screen. So Ashley and I worked on this Kahoot for y'all. We, like Renee said, we love to start meetings with it. It's really fun. We've learned as 4-H agents that we're all really, really competitive, so it always goes. We love doing it. And the kids love it too. I start every single junior leader meeting with this, and I give out candy bars for whoever wins, and it's a lot of fun. So today we're going to do a little 4-H trivia with y'all. And Ashley, here, without further ado, I'm going to send it back over to Ashley because she has it on her computer.
All right, we're going to get started. We had 14 players, so if y'all are ready, I am going to hit play. All right, first question is true or false? Volunteering can lead to job opportunities. True or false? We did about 20 seconds for each question, so good job. Y'all all got that one right. Let's see who's on the leaderboard. All right, look at that. If you see your name, good job. And the points go by like if you click the fastest, if you answer right. So, next question. What year was 4-H started? If you don't know, just guess really quick. 1908, 1890, 1999, or 1915? Good job. 4-H was started in 1908. A little shake up on the leaderboard. All right. Next question. The Louisiana 4-H Museum is located in what parish? West Feliciana, Avoyelles, East Baton Rouge, or Rapides? And have y'all been? Put in the chat if y'all have actually been to the 4-H Museum.
It's really
I haven't been. I want to go.
Agent field trip.
Yeah, after all this is over, let's go. Okay, so it's in Avoyelles. Good job. Y'all are doing pretty good. A little shake up.
Oh, look, ALP's got 3 answers in a row.
There you go. All right. What fraction of Americans volunteer on average? 2 out of 4, 1 out of 4, 4 out of 4, or 3 out of 4? And I do not like math, so that little meme was for all my fellow math dislikers. Good job. Only 1 out of 4. That is sad. We can change that, though. Oh, big shake up.
Big shake up.
All right, the first 4-H club was referred to as what? The most awesome club ever. The livestock club, the corn club, or the agriculture club?
I like that meme, Ashley.
4-H life. They just don't understand. If you're not in it, you don't understand. Good job. The Corn Club.
Oh, another shake up.
Staying on top. All right. Volunteering can improve mental health, lessen stress, improve your mood, or all of the above. And we do all love volunteering. Good job. All of the above. All right, top 5. Hanging strong. What do the 4 H's stand for? Hands, humility, heart, headache. Hands, heart, head, health. Help, heart, hands, head. Or happy, healthy, hungry hippos. And how many of y'all have been like that little kid trying to finish a record book? Kids. That was me in 4-H too. All right, good job. Hands, heart, head, and health. Oop, stayed the same. What year was short course or 4-H university first run? 1922, 2003, 1915, or 1991?
This is one of my favorite questions because it shocked me whenever I looked this up.
Yeah, 1915. That's crazy. A long time ago. Oh, a little shake up there. Now Susan's top. Good job. Non-volunteers say they are more likely to serve if someone makes them, they will all get paid, a trusted friend asks them to serve, or all of the above. What do y'all think?
I think getting paid means you're not volunteering anymore.
So if a trusted friend asks them to serve, so I'm sure many of y'all got started because someone asked, hey, could you help here? Help there.
Oh, a big shake up.
Yeah. All right, true or false? Before it was health, the last H was going to be hustle. True or false? So excited. That little kid's face. Oh, it was true.
So this one was really hard. Like I looked it up and they said like of course it ended up not being hustle because everybody was like they won't understand why it was. But the original it was originally supposed to be hustle because it's supposed to mean like go out there and go get it. But everybody was like, no, that's not a good idea. That doesn't sound right.
All right, let's see if there's any shake up. Oh, a little bit. ALP came back. Okay, true or false? Adults who began volunteering as youth are twice as likely to volunteer as adults. True or false? You got Boss Baby up there. True. Good job, guys. Very good. All right.
John Garrett's climbing again.
Yeah. So these are the 4-H colors. Green and blue, green and yellow, green, white, and yellow, or green and white. Very good. Y'all answer that one quick. Ooh, ooh, chicken.
Ooh.
Climbing on up there, chicken. Okay. What is the monetary value of a volunteer per hour? So $25.43, $15.68, $11.33 or $22.50. And even old Ben's wearing a mask right now. Good job. So I know if y'all have been on any of Megan Frank's talks last couple months, she's mentioned this before. And your time is worth, I think, is kind of priceless because
definitely priceless.
Yes.
Ooh, RC's climbing way up.
Hey, there you go. All right, what is the 4-H motto? To make the best better, all roads lead to success. The power of 4-H is with you, or 4-H is the best club ever, ever, ever. Good job. Y'all answer that one quick, too. To make the best better. All right, only a couple more. This is a summer overnight activity for younger 4-H members. Often older 4-H members serve as counselors. Camp Grant Walker, 4-H University, Marsh Maneuvers, or Wild Woods Wandering.
I don't know if any of y'all remember Wild Woods, but that was one of my favorite camps. I love going there.
Good job. Camp Grant Walker, which we did not get to go to this year. Oh. Okay. Y'all see my puppy? Okay, Leah. She wants to play Kahoot too. All right. The location of the National 4-H Center is where? Las Vegas, Denver, Chevy Chase, or Orlando? And if you've been there, I want to know that too, because I have not been.
I haven't either.
Another field trip.
Maybe one day they'll do the national convention there.
Yeah. Oh, good job.
Oh, Amy's been.
Yeah. What? I want to go. All right. No shakeup yet, but CB is back with an answer streak of 3. All right,
I think that's Amy that's in the lead now.
Ooh. What national title did 4-H win for the first time in 2019? Shooting sports, livestock ambassador, horticulture judging, or dairy judging? We like to win. So who will win this game? Last question. Good job, shooting sports. All right, here's the podium. So in third place, we have Chicken. Good job, Chicken. Second place, we have Miss Susan. And in first place, we have ALP.
Amy, is that you? Yeah, Amy. Who's
Chicken? All right. Thank y'all for playing.
Thank y'all so much for playing with us this morning. We hope y'all like it.
I enjoyed it.
Thanks so much, ladies. That was fun, and I loved all the memes that you used on those. Those were cute. So the next thing that we're going to get into this morning are our enrichment opportunities that are offered through 4-H. And we have 4 presenters that are going to be doing this. And to start us off, we have Miss Christina Zito-Abear, who is our college and career readiness specialist. She is in our state office, and we're very happy to have her here today. She is going to give you a little explanation about enrichment and what it is, and then she's going to tell you about the program life that she's in charge of. Miss Christina.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you real quick. Okay, hold on. Quick technical glitch.
Christina, tell me if there's anything I need to do.
Yeah, I think it might be a setting, Renee, but I'm not exactly sure. Okay, can y'all see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So good morning, everybody. I wanted to start off by talking a little bit about what we in 4-H consider school enrichment to be. For Louisiana 4-H Youth Development Program, when we use the term school enrichment, we mean it as 6 or more hours of instructional time and content. These programs that we're about to introduce to you are for the most part aligned with state or national standards. They can be integrated into classroom teaching or after school activities. And we recently created a school enrichment webpage, which I'll show you real quick. So it kind of has the mission of our school enrichment programming, which is basically to bring you engaging subject matter that supports formal education. And then, like I said, all of these involve a minimum of 6 hours of instructional time, in addition to other supplemental resources and activities. And so if you scroll down this page, you'll see kind of a menu of options. And we'll highlight a few of these today as the presentation goes on. But if you're interested in anything that you see, you can visit this page. It's LSUAgCenter.com/school enrichment. And if you click on any of these act like buttons, and they'll bring you to either specific program pages or registration opportunities for these programs. All of these are free and available to you. So feel free to share them with other volunteers that you know and or faculty members for those of you who are school faculty members. Okay, now I'll introduce one of our 4-H enrichment programs, showing you a quick video. It looks like it's buffering, so it might take a few seconds. You know what? We'll try it another way. Let's see.
Christina, if this have music on it, we can't hear it.
I'm sorry, Xavier. Can you say that again?
If you're having sound to this, we can't hear it. I'm not sure if you want the sound or not.
Yeah, I do. The sound is on, and it's on my computer.
Christina, it's a setting when you share your screen. You have to make sure you're sharing your system audio as well. It's a little checkbox when you're sharing your screen.
In Teams?
Yes, like when you click the share button, there'll be a little system audio checkbox in the top right corner.
Okay, hold on one second. Got it. Okay. Thank y'all. Okay, let's try again. Is that better?
Perfect.
Okay. everybody. So that was just a quick video to introduce the LIFE program. If you visit our school enrichment page, you can access this Living Your Financial Experience program page where the video is housed if you want to share that with anybody else in your school. There's a list of the different lessons that are offered through this program, and this is the registration button that you can visit if you're interested in registering for the program lessons and the program content. So I'm going to flip back to our presentation. Okay, so back in 2018, the Louisiana legislature passed a bill that went into effect last July. The bill basically mandates that incoming high school students be exposed to financial literacy and financial education at some point during their high school career. And so currently in our state, there haven't been specific state standards developed for that. However, this particular program is aligned to the National Jumpstart Financial Literacy Standards. So if you're interested in registering for the program, one of the documents that you will receive is a document that kind of shows you how the different lessons align with the different national standards. The program includes 6 main lessons, and it includes 2 supplemental lessons. The quick rundown of the lessons is basically En Route to Your Dreams, which is a goal setting lesson. The 1.5 lesson is a supplemental. It's called the Bare Necessities, and it helps students to distinguish needs versus wants. The second lesson is It's Payday, and the second supplemental lesson is Insurance Intervention. The third is Banking Basics, and the fourth is Saving, so pigs can fly. So it's different saving strategies. The fifth is Telling Your Money Where to Go, so it's very focused on budgeting. And the sixth lesson is Hitting That Repay Button. So this is where students will learn about the concept of credit, the concept of credit scores, student loans, buying vehicles, some of those first decisions that they may have to make straight out of high school. And for some, they may be starting to look at these options while in high school. In addition to these lessons, the program also includes one real-world simulation. So this real-world simulation is meant to be a culminating event. After the students participate in the lessons, they can participate in the simulation, where each student will be given a random occupation and a random income to go with that. And there will be different volunteers and vendors that represent like your local bank, car dealerships, insurance companies, etc., trying to sell the students their goods and services. And so the students will actually have to put their skills to the test by actually using their budgeting skills to make their income last as long as possible as they move through the simulation. And essentially they move from needs to wants. They have to get housing, transportation, they have to buy groceries, etc. And then it moves into more entertainment and fun opportunities if they have money left over. And so they have to kind of make some tough decisions. And in the process, they get experience, talking to people who are actually in these industries, who are trying to, quote, sell them these products and services as they would in the real world. This content has a lot of potential to be cross-cutting amongst various high school courses. Of course, like math classes, universal jumpstart classes, any quest for success classes at your school, agri-science. I believe agri-science 1 has a financial component to it. If your school or parish offers the JAG program and the JAG classes, that might be a great fit. And also if your school offers internship opportunities, this could be a good supplemental resource for those classes as well. So certainly not limited to these classes or courses. I just wanted to kind of give some examples of how it could easily be integrated into different classes that are offered throughout the state. Of course, depending on your parish and what's offered through your school district. Do y'all have any questions about the LIFE program? You can throw them in the chat, or you can unmute your mic.
Yeah, I have a question. What's JAG stand for?
JAG is, hold on a second. It's coming to me. It's something America's grads. It is offered in certain school districts of the state. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble figuring out what the J, I know what the J stands for. I'm just at a loss right now. But it's a program that's offered in certain districts of the state. And if your school district offers the JAG program, they likely offer at least 2 of the JAG courses for students. And they're basically college and career readiness courses. And they typically do involve like an internship component or student work component. And so that's how it would integrate easily into those.
Christina, somebody wrote in the chat, it
Yep.
stands for Jobs for American Graduates.
Thank you. Do y'all have any other questions? Okay. Hearing none, if y'all have any as time goes on, you can just throw them in the chat. I'd like to introduce Catherine Fox, who's working with our Youth Wetlands program. She's going to introduce that program next. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Hi, Catherine.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you for having me, Renee.
Miss Catherine, you're on. I don't know if your mic's muted. We can't hear you though.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, there we go.
Having a technical difficulty with my presentation.
We can see it on the screen.
All right. Okay, so I will be talking about the Youth Wetlands program, which will be an online learning platform. So an overview, the online learning platform will provide a free interactive environment for both teachers and students. Its main feature will be continuously updated lessons and activities that are aligned to Louisiana's science standards. There will be training and support for teachers and educators, and it will also provide educators and teachers the ability to streamline student assessment and incentivization with the program. So to talk about our lessons, we'll have lessons for 3rd through 12th grade, and they will be aligned to the Louisiana Science Standards for Students. Each lesson will follow the next generation science standards practices for phenomena-based 3-dimensional learning using the 5E instructional model. And they will incorporate hands-on activities, reading authentic text, differentiated instruction opportunities for accessibility, and assessment aids for teachers in terms of throughout the lesson, monitoring student understanding as well as assessment at the end of the lesson. So our lessons, we used the EQUIP rubric to make sure that they were aligned to the Louisiana Science Standards. And we chose the EQUIP rubric because it is designed to evaluate lessons under the next generation science standards. And Louisiana Science Standards and NGSS both follow the same structure with their standards. So the equip rubric looked for phenomena-based lessons with opportunities to develop and use science and engineering practices, disciplinary core ideas, and cross-cutting concepts, as well as making sure that the lessons were student-driven and sense-making, so that the lessons built on what the students needed to understand in order to move on to the next concept or the next activity. The equip rubric also evaluated lessons for instructional supports, so identifying and building upon prior learning in all three dimensions, so making sure that it was identified what students needed to know before you started the lesson, essentially, and then differentiated instruction, so different ways of presenting the material or extension options or accessibility options to make sure students at all different levels could participate in the lesson and understand the material. And lastly, the equip rubric looked at monitoring student progress, so making sure the lessons included formative assessment and student performance monitoring within the lesson outline, as well as tools and tips for evaluating assessments and the guidance for that. So our lessons cover a wide range of wetland-related subject matter, so it's not just focusing on wetlands itself. So some of the content for our lessons includes oil spills, waterfowl migration, watersheds and water pollution, wildlife habitat, and modeling sediment diversions along the Mississippi River. And I'm not going to go over each of the lessons because there's one for each grade level, but the mysterious disappearance of Cat Island is our 8th grade lesson, and it's going to investigate the mysterious disappearance of Cat Island years after the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. So it starts with students looking at this picture and a few other pictures surrounding the oil spill to generate ideas and questions. And then they're going to move into discovering the environmental impacts of an oil spill, which is going to lead to them asking questions about, well, how does oil cause those environmental impacts? What leads to them? So they're going to move into modeling molecules and the chemical behaviors of oil, which will lead to engineering, cleaning, and mitigation solutions for oil spills, and then testing those solutions that they come up with. And most of our lessons follow this format of students leading the investigation throughout the lesson. So along with the lessons, they will be hosted on our online learning platform. The online learning platform, it's free. In addition to the lessons, it will also feature incentivization for students and classrooms. So we'll be using gamification where both students and teachers can earn rewards and prizes. There'll be training and support for teachers and educators. So there'll be training workshops, teacher resources, and an opportunity to interact with a network of wetlands and environmental educators. So making sure that that support is built in, which will be important with a lot of schools having to accommodate virtual learning this year. Another feature is that there will be a searchable library of lessons and activities. So educators can search by grade level, subject, keyword, which will be like lesson content, and which standards the lessons meet. So if you're looking for a lesson that meets a particular standard, there will be a list of those for you to search through. And another big feature of the online learning platform will be the ability to streamline student assessment. So both teachers and students can be registered on the platform, and students will be able to register under a specific teacher, which will allow that teacher to organize students into different classes. So if you have multiple grades that you teach, or if you just have multiple classes and you want to keep those classes separate, teachers will have the ability to organize students in that way to make sure that all of the students in that one class are in the same group, learning the same material, and there's no confusion with having to juggle multiple lessons if you have multiple grades or multiple classes going on at the same time. There will be assessment aids for each lesson provided, and that includes assessment quizzes built into the lessons, as well as assessment guidance and tips written into the lesson as well. And then there's incentivization for student engagement through gamification with possible prizes such as a scholarship to 4-H summer camp, and other things, youth wetland swag. For classrooms, some possible prizes for teachers would be equipment like water quality testing kits, educational graphics, things like that, and certificates once you reach a certain point. So the timeline, this program is not yet available. We are going to do an early adopter access in August, which will be similar to a beta launch of the online learning platform. And this will be probably a period of rapid change as we figure out what works and what doesn't. And then we'll do a full launch this fall. If you are interested or you would like to share this opportunity with other people, for right now, you can send an email to bgotro@agcenter.lsu.edu with your name and work email, and you'll be put on a registry list so that once this is available, you'll be sent the link to register for the online learning platform. And this can be used, I know a lot of it said it can be used by teachers, but it is educational for all levels. There, besides lessons, there will be quick activities that you could do in a club setting and things like that as well. Are there any questions?
Hi, this is Heather. I have a question. Could you talk a little bit about if you have some materials for us to advertise it to teachers, and how teachers could get a look at it to decide possibly before it's released?
We do, I'll put it in the chat. We have the one pager that was sent out with a brief overview of the online learning platform, and it includes a brief description of each lesson and the standards that those lessons address. And we are working on some additional materials like a quick video overview. There isn't necessarily a way for them to play around on the online platform prior to registering, just because there's not like a preview access. However, the 8th grade lesson will be available outside of the registration as a preview lesson. And it'll be available outside of the Youth Wetlands program. Actually, it'll be available through Louisiana 4-H, so that there will be a way for them to look at a lesson beforehand, even if it's not grade specific, just to kind of get a feel for how the lessons are formatted and the content of them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right, if not, then I'll hand this over to our next presenter, which I believe is Crystal.
Thank you so much, Catherine, for sharing this with us today. We really appreciate it. And for all of the volunteers on here, if you haven't seen our Youth Wetlands program yet, or our LIFE program that have been presented, or the next two that are going to be presented, they are really good programs for you to have in your schools. Our next presenter is Ms. Crystal Ahrens, and she is a 4-H animal science specialist, and she's going to talk to you today about her program on embryology. Crystal?
Good morning, everyone. Hopefully you're enjoying hearing about some of these new school enrichment programs we have to offer. I will say I dropped a quick poll in the chat, if you haven't noticed, when Catherine was speaking, just to kind of get a feel of how many teachers directly we're talking to today and how many maybe non-formal educators we're talking to, just to make sure we're talking about the language and the verbiage that makes sense to everyone. So let me see if I can move this over here. So I'm in charge of the Incubating Education program, and Incubating Education is an embryology program, and it is standard aligned school enrichment that connects Louisiana agriculture to life science. And so we actually took two of Louisiana's largest and most unique commodities and we brought them together for a science classroom. And I also have a quick little video that I'm going to share with y'all to kind of show you what it's about. My audio may not be on, is it? All right. So that's just a little promo video that our communications department did a great job with, and we're so proud of it. And so thank you so much for the sweet comments. I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoy our little promo video. And that video is on Facebook and can be shared with any teachers on any social media. Same with the life program video. Those are great, just little intros to, if you want this in your parish, if you know teachers could utilize these things, those videos are a great way to kind of catch that attention. And you may have noticed that Catherine used some of these words as well, because mine is also a science-based program. The goal behind incubating education was to bring agriculture into the general education classroom. Most of the time, teachers don't have the time, the curricula, or the curriculum doesn't meet the teaching standards they have to teach to make it worth their time to teach these really important life skills, where your food comes from, how to protect the environment, things along those lines. And unless it's meeting a standard, often they don't want to utilize those programs, which is why all of our school enrichment programs are now matched to standards, whether it be life, youth wetlands, Stand Strong, or incubating education. They follow the science standards. And with that means that we have to have anchoring phenomena, which means it's a question that's being asked at the beginning of the unit, and the students are leading the discussion. They're developing questions. They're going through investigations to determine by the end of the unit if this question is answered, and if they can answer this question on their own or through discussion, and if they can back that up. So when looking at the standards for science, we found that this program was going to work best for 3rd and 8th grade. Other grades can use it, but I have not identified the standards for those grades in which it matches, because we wanted to hit the grades that would be the most beneficial, and that turned out to be 3rd and 8th grade. For 3rd grade, this program will actually teach 6 of the 7 life science standards that teachers are required to teach to. And their anchor phenomena is, what are I have a spelling typo. No, I don't. Okay, so why are there different colored chickens and different colored eggs? And they will go through investigations of natural selection, of genetics, of developing patterns. surviving versus thriving, what coops look like, why they're important, why chickens live in groups, predators versus prey, and they'll go through a lot of those types of lessons, meeting those standards along the way. The 8th grade lessons are probably some of the more really fun ones because it brings in the alligator factor of Louisiana. If you know people outside of the state of Louisiana, these standards can also be used, these programs can also be used because they match the NGSS, the national science standards as well. So the next generation science standards, which all teachers across the nation have to teach to. And it allows to have a little bit of fun with a Louisiana thing. But because alligators are so Louisiana, especially southern Louisiana, and chickens are very northern Louisiana, it makes it for a very relatable phenomenon, which teachers tend to seek out. And so the 8th grade unit is answering the anchor phenomena. Are chickens and alligators related? They actually, and this is where incubating the chick in the classroom comes into play. It's not a requirement. Teachers do not have to actually incubate eggs in their classroom to use these programs. I've made sure they've been provided all pictures, resources, that they can find all of those resources without using the incubator. Even if they're teaching from a distance this year, I've provided virtual supplementation so that they'll be able to do that. There are other extension programs that even live stream hatchings throughout the year. So it's still accessible to see that growth and development with an egg. And as that 21-day process begins, that the chick is actually developing in the egg, the 8th grade lessons follow it day to day. So a heartbeat in a chicken begins in the egg on day 2. On day 2 and 3 of this unit, they actually explore alligator hearts versus chicken hearts. And are they same? Are they similar? Are they different? The next day, the lungs begin to develop in the egg, and they go through a lung exploration of, are chicken and alligator lungs the same? Fun fact, chickens and alligators have different hearts, but similar lungs. And that process continues through investigations of natural selection, of scales and feathers, and comparing these two things to see if at the end of this process, are they actually related? And it's all student driven and very much discussion based. So here's just a quick little timeline. We have built in a very much that we want people to connect with their agents for support in this process, because if they are going to hatch eggs, it's going to be an egg sourcing situation. There's going to be a chick hatching situation to place those chicks afterwards. So having a good relationship with your county or parish extension agents, 4-H, and agriculture will be very, very helpful. So in our timeline, we've built that in. You can register at that same link that you're registering for everything else at. We do have our own incubating education website, which I'll show you in a minute. The second step is to make sure that it's been registered. You will be connected with your agent for support because they can help you in sourcing eggs and setting up your incubator. There may even be resources within your parish where they can loan an incubator to a teacher. There are national Ag in the Classroom grants that are up to $500. Well, maybe that will get you way more than just an incubator, but maybe that's one of those things there. And so they can help you with that. From there, you'll have the unit will be emailed to you once you register. You'll have all the documents that you need. We've written out the unit to be written in the 5E system, and you'll have the lesson plan, you'll have the worksheets, you'll have supplemental materials, articles that need to be read, all of that's provided. And we've also, as of yesterday, launched a community of learning. So if you choose to, or if a teacher chooses to, join our Incubating Embryology Teams channel, it's just going to be a place of community learning so that they can comment, they can give us feedback, we can help them and assist them from even a state level if they need it, or if they just need to talk amongst teachers to say, this worked for my classroom, this didn't work for my classroom, and this is how we adjusted. We are opening up that community of learning as well. So, resources. The school enrichment website is going to be one of the best places to go for any of these programs. The Incubating Education website holds probably more documents than some because we did that on purpose. We're going to be providing, you have helpful documents for, there's the school administration document, which Dr. Toby Lupley sent out, and I will drop in the chat at the end of my portion. The unit overviews are on the Incubating Education website. I will show you. The facilitator's guide is on the website. The virtual adaptations guide, so that teachers who are teaching from a distance can still use this program, has also been put on the website and is being emailed out to anybody who registers. And then, of course, the community of learning that I mentioned. So we will go to the website. So the website is lsuagcenter.com/incubating-education. You can register right here. You can see the video. You can share the video. Has the same information that I provided. A little breakdown of the class of what the lessons actually are, lesson by lesson. Unit overviews here. A link to join the community of learning. And then as you can see, we actually do provide some supporting materials already right here. And so these are not any of the lessons specifically. You won't be able to teach off of these directly, but these are things that even other teachers may use that teach in this open discussion format. They may need notice and wonder charts or anything like that. And as we have or develop any other supporting materials, they will go here. So just for an example, we'll open up the 8th grade unit overview. And as you can see, if a teacher needs to turn in an overview or a lesson plan, they can add their dates for this to be taught. All the standards that are going to be met, and I didn't mention this for 8th grade, but for 8th grade, all of the life science standards that a teacher has to teach on will be met or built upon in this unit. So if they need a complete life science unit that meets all of their standards, this unit will do that. It has their phenomena, it has their driving questions, and then a quick overview of what each lesson does and where it comes from. If you want to see an example of a lesson, I can probably pull one of those up for you. I will pull up just the entire portfolio. Let me share that so you can see it. So here is the portfolio that contains all of the lessons. When people register for, okay, that is not letting me move. Okay, when people register for this program, they get an email with a link to a OneDrive file with a password that gives them access to each individual lesson along with this cumulative document. They also get access to teaching PowerPoints that are meant to be used for them. They don't have to, they are editable PowerPoints, but they are password protected so that they can make them work for their classroom specifically. So again, this is lesson 1 that you're looking at right now. It's an embryological comparisons document. It goes to the driving questions. It gives sample questions to develop engagement, sample answers for teachers to work off of. They don't have to worry about not having a background in this information because I've provided everything to them. I've defined if it's information for students or if it's background information for the teachers so that they can feel comfortable and supported when teaching this, if they have any worries that they're not going to understand the material. Most of our teachers will, but we wanted to make sure, since there is an agricultural piece to it, that they felt supported. And each question each lesson goes through this whole process. There's the 5E system. We offer some materials for exit tickets and things along those lines. And then as you can see, it's a fillable PDF for the lab reports. So if they are teaching from a virtual format, this is still usable by their students in a virtual format without having to scan or anything along those lines. I'll show you one of the fun ones. So this is the chicken and the alligator heart one. I have made virtual adaptations for these, but as you can see, if they were in class, they would actually be building a pumping heart model to show the differences between the 2 hearts, the 2 types of hearts there, and then they would go through their investigations as well. And so that's just kind of a quick overview of the Incubating Education program. We're really excited about it. And if you know anybody, please make sure to have them register for any of our programs. Share it on social media. Y'all are our best marketing program for this. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Do y'all have any questions for Crystal?
Okay, I will drop the school admin piece from Dr. Lepley in the chat. And if you do have any questions, I'll be following the chat, so feel free to let me know. And I will pass it on to whoever's next.
Thank you very much, Christo. This is Renee Castro again. Dr. Kim Jones could not be with us today, but I am going to talk a little bit about her program, which is the Stand Strong, Creating a Culture of Caring. It is a school enrichment program, just like the other three that you have heard about. And I just want to say, when I send out the links to everyone with the recordings, I can also send you the links to actually go to our website and sign up for some of these things. Let me see if I can figure out how to get my PowerPoint up from Kim. Okay. So can y'all see my screen?
Looks good.
Okay, thanks. So basically, Dr. Jones sent me this PowerPoint to share with you guys, but in the original email that I sent out to you, there is a handout that you can look at, and it gives you some information about this program. So this is designed for youth in 5th through 8th grades. It could be used in the classrooms. It could be used in club meeting settings, after school enrichment programs. It's designed to be facilitated by teachers, 4-H agents, volunteers, whoever can use it. It has 3 units that allows participants to become more aware of the forms of bullying and strategies for managing anger, resolving conflict, and forming healthy relationships. It is available in digital and print form, and it also includes 20-item pre- and post-test evaluations. So Unit 1, which is awareness and cyberbullying, participants will become aware of bullying, learn the forms of bullying, learn the roles individuals play in bullying, and learn how to cope with bullying. Unit 2 is self-management, where participants learn how to manage their anger, resolve conflicts, create positive relationships with peers, improve their communication skills, including providing clear instruction and feedback, asking good questions, and listening effectively. And the 3rd unit is collective responsibility, where participants will learn how to create a sense of belonging, learn how to stand up to bullying, and learn that everyone has a collective responsibility to make their surroundings better. So those are just kind of just an overview of what the lessons are. Self-management, Unit 2 lessons. I think I talked about those. Anger management, conflict resolution, positive peer relationships, and communication. The collective responsibility, understanding collective responsibility. We're all in this together, and what to do if. I think that was the last slide that we were on. So on the screen right now, it's just some pictures of what the actual lessons actually look like. This is Dr. Jones's contact information. I can try to answer any question. I know that wasn't a whole lot of information, but I can try to answer any questions if anybody has any questions. These are related to the science standards as well. Not science standards, I'm sorry. The state standards as well, just like our other enrichment programs. This, like I said, is targeted 5th to 8th grades. It's approximately 45 minutes per lesson, and it does come with an evaluation. So does anybody have any questions about this? Like I said, I know that was just a little quick overview, but when I send you the link in the email, we can you can actually go on and look at the actual lessons. So does anybody have any questions about the Stand Strong character lessons? Okay, if not, we're going to move on to our next thing on the agenda. Miss Michaela Davenport, who is the 4-H agent in Livingston Parish, is going to talk to us about tips and tricks for running your 4-H club. So Michaela, I will turn it over to you.
Okay. All right. Hey, y'all. My name is Michaela Davenport. I am one of the 4-H agents in Livingston Parish. And I am going to talk about tips and tricks for running your 4-H club. These ideas actually came from some of our own 4-H leaders at our parish leader training over the past couple of years. We tried to get some of our more seasoned leaders to do a roundtable discussion for some of our newer leaders, because we've had quite a few in our parish over the past couple of years. And we've gotten some really great ideas, and our leaders really loved that aspect and really got some great ideas, because, you know, we can talk all day long about what we expect and what we need, but I know I, for one, have never been a 4-H leader. So a lot of times I can only speak on the side of the 4-H agent. And so it's nice hearing it from somebody who's done it before, somebody who's been in your shoes. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we will get started. All right. Can everybody see that?
I can only see you, Michaela.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right. How's that?
You got it?
Okay. So it's not letting me share full screen, so you'll have to see it in editing view. So I'm sorry about that. But first, I want to start with getting together with your 4-H agent. And that's something that we always start with at our leader training, talking to our 4-H leaders, whether they're new or whether they're seasoned. It's really important to have that open line of communication with your 4-H agent. We need to know, you know, what questions you may have, what you need from us, because everybody is going to need something different. There's more than one ways to skin a cat. I know that's an old adage that a lot of people have probably heard before, but what works for some schools and some clubs may not work for others. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that one thing is successful and one thing isn't. So it's important that you let us know what you want out of your club, because some leaders, I walk in their club meetings and they have XYZ already laid out. They just need me to come in and read the newsletter and do that. But then some leaders want us to come in and have a little bit more hands-on approach with them and with their students, and that's okay. So make sure you let your agent know what you need, because we aren't successful unless you're successful with your own club. And with that said, I know a lot of parishes have their own lessons that they conduct each month and things like that. But even us in Livingston Parish, we do, with almost all of our 45 clubs, we'll do the same lessons each month, but we do still have some clubs that say, hey, you know, we want to focus on something a little bit different, whether it's leadership or life skills or something like that. And so they do that on their own. With a little bit of help from us. We still send them resources if we have it, if they ask for them. You know, we're still there, supportive of them at their club meetings, but they provide what they need for their students in that club meeting, even if, you know, we may be focusing on ag literacy that year. So it's all about what you need with your club. Okay. The next one is some tools of the trade that some of our 4-H leaders have found helpful in the past. One of the big ones is having a 4-H folder. A lot of our teachers say that they get these often at the end of the year when all school supplies are on sale, or at the beginning. They'll go to stores like Dollar Tree or order online and just purchase a bunch of folders for their 4-H members. They don't have to be anything fancy, but it is a good place for students to keep all their stuff together, because I know y'all hear it just as much as we do. Oh, parents didn't know about this coming up or that coming up because the newsletter or the permission slip or the project book was, crumbled up in the bottom of the backpack and hasn't seen the light of day since it was handed to them. So a lot of our teachers who have implemented the folders have had a lot of success with it. It's a good place for those newsletters, for permission slips, and for those project books, so students always have their stuff when they come to those meetings. And it's also a way to kind of give those students a little bit more responsibility in a successful way. That way, they know they're supposed to take that folder home and show it to their parents, get that permission slip signed. The next thing is having a club t-shirt. Not all of our clubs do, but most of them do. And this helps a lot with a sense of belonging to the club. Some of our 4-H kids are joining because they're interested in shooting sports, or they're interested in livestock, or they want to do the cookery contest. But some of them are joining just to find a place where they belong. And sometimes something as simple as having a club 4-H t-shirt can make a big difference. They can use those, they can wear those t-shirts at different parish events. If the parish holds workshops like officer training or a project training day, they can represent their school. Sometimes administration will let them wear their t-shirts on club days, even if it's just for right around the time that they're having that club. And that's a way for them to, show their pride in their own club. And even recruit future members for the 4-H club, whether be it yours or, the next transition school. And this is also a possible contest opportunity. We have a lot of really creative kids, and they really enjoy designing things. So this is a really neat opportunity. A lot of people don't, may not want to do t-shirts because they don't want to think about having to put that together. But if you make it a contest, the kids take it over. I know there can also be a monetary problem when it comes to some of that stuff. A lot of us work with students and parents who might not have the money, or even schools and programs who just don't have the school support or community support to get some of that. So you can eliminate some of that problem with holding fundraisers and having the t-shirts donated. You can keep costs down on the t-shirts by limiting the number of colors to just 1 or 2 on the t-shirt. And you can also, we have some clubs that don't do a new design each year. They keep one design from year to year. And that way students can wear their shirt year after year, and they only have to buy it once. And that helps out too. You can also speak with local shops to see if they give any discounts for schools. I know a lot of ours do. And you can also talk to some of your high schools in the area. I know one of our high schools actually does our own livestock shirts. They have a print shop that's taught through a class or a business marketing class at their school. And so it just gives them an opportunity to kind of work with that. So those are all things you can think about. The last thing I have on here is a letter of expectations. And this doesn't, if you decide to do a letter of expectations, it doesn't have to be anything super fancy or anything. But we always have those students who, or those parents who, their child can do no wrong, and their child didn't tell them that this was expected. And so when we have those things come up, a lot of times, we face the backlash or the teachers face the backlash. So when you have a letter of expectations and you have it signed by students and parents, if something happens, whether it's a disciplinary action or a requirement wasn't met to go on the end of the year field trip or to go to achievement day, or whatever it is that's in question, that's just kind of a just in case to save yourself some headache, to save some backlash coming back from your administration when that parent inevitably calls the principal, because I know we've all had that happen. Remember that when you set these expectations, communicate them with your 4-H agent, but your 4-H agent will back you up as long as it's reasonable expectations. We have a lot of our schools who, if they don't turn in their project book, then they can't go on the end of the year field trip, and some that don't do that. That's, as far as we're concerned, that's a club decision. Especially if you have a larger club, you want to reward those who are putting in the time and the effort. And so when you have that signed letter of expectations, it just kind of prevents some of that from coming back on you. All right, and now, talk about the whole reason we're here, why we all do our jobs, and it's, it's all about the kids. And that's, what this organization is based on. And so I know, a lot of schools might have their own activities, but they might not promote those parish events. And it's great when we have schools that are really involved and really communicative with the parents and really engaging these kids within their school. But when they move on to that next level, they might not have that. And so if that child has only experienced those opportunities at the school level, when the next school they go to doesn't have those opportunities, that's where we lose students. And so we also want to let them know that we do have parish events, we have state events, regional events, and things like that. And these can be contests and workshops. So we really do hope that y'all do encourage participation in these parish events. Ways that some of our clubs have done that is with point systems. They might not necessarily require students to do all the activities, but they might have to do one workshop, whether it's participating in project training day for our elementary kids, or entering something in the fair, or joining a project club like livestock or shooting sports or sewing or something like that. Just something to get them involved just a little bit outside of that school level as well. And then the contest. I know a lot of parishes have a cookery contest. Some may have pumpkin carving contests and things like that. And then all parishes have poster contests, because those are sponsored by the state office. And so when you're, pushing those contests, you're just, and those workshops, you're giving your kids another opportunity to succeed. And I know sometimes those aren't always possible. A lot of those contests are, after school, and parents might be working, and so they don't have a way to get their kids there. We have one of our schools that requires one specific contest, and they take a bus to that contest. That's the only one that school participates in, unless, the students want to do the other on their own. But, the kids really enjoy that contest, and they really enjoy getting to do it with all of their friends from their club. Another one that was something that was shared with us, the poster contest. A lot of times that can be difficult because poster board is not always cheap. If you have 50 kids, you can't always provide that poster board. And some parents just, whether it's they don't have the time or they don't have the interest, they're not going to promote that stuff. So one of our schools actually shared that they have their kids turn in their posters on just regular printer paper. That's something that they have readily available, so they provide the printer paper to the kids for the contest. They have to design it, and they turn it in, and then they have a panel of teachers at the school who judge those posters, and they have the top 3 recreate theirs on poster board, and they provide the poster board. That way, they're only buying 3 pieces of poster board, and you're also getting more quality work because the students that are going to want to participate anyway are going to be the ones that have those winning posters, but they still get to display those 8.5 by 11 posters all over the school. It's a lot easier for them to do that. And the kids get to see their work, and they have that sense of accomplishment even if they don't win. Whereas you might not be able to display 50 full-size posters all across your school. And then they, of course, send us the winning poster for that poster contest. And then we display them at our 4-H Achievement Day. That's something that almost all of our clubs adopted this year. And our poster contest participation went up tenfold, as well as the quality of posters we got to judge this year went up a lot, and we got some really amazing posters to submit to our state contest. So we were really excited about that, and we were really excited to get to display them at Achievement Day, which unfortunately, due to the COVID-19, we weren't able to do, but we are working on being able to put those on Facebook and share them for all of our kids to see. Another thing that you can do is school and community involvement. And you can do this through service projects, through fundraising, something as simple as a canned food drive, which a lot of people do, maybe doing a park or even your school campus cleanup, writing thank yous to public servants or school personnel, and even reading to younger grades. Some schools don't have the liberty to take field trips all that often. And also, with the state of what we'll be facing in the fall and in the spring, field trips might not be possible at all. So some of the more traditional things like caroling and bingo at nursing homes and things like that might not be possible. I did share with y'all a list of 365 days of service projects, as well as A to Z projects you can do with your school and community. That was sent out by Renee, and I'll pull those up just so you can see what they were. But you should have those. Can y'all see that?
I still see the PowerPoint, Michaela.
Great.
That's okay. I sent those out in the original email. I think that went out on maybe Monday with the links to the meeting. That handout was on that email as well.
Yes, so it was 3 different I had 3 different handouts. The 2 in particular that I'm talking about are the community service project ideas for every day of the year. And that was developed by Dr. Fox in our state office. And some of them require more work than others, or more organization than others, and some of them might not be possible for you. And that's not by any means for us to say that you should be doing a different service project every week or even every month, but it's just a comprehensive set of ideas that you can use to pick and choose what works for your club. As well as the From A to Z 130 4-H ideas, and that was developed by some 4-H agents in Terrebonne Parish. And it's a really awesome list, a lot of things that you might not think about, some things that are kind of out of the box, and some things that are more normal, like or not normal but more traditional, like a jack-o'-lantern painting contest and kindergarten helpers and things like that. So those are just some really neat opportunities that the kids really get excited with doing those things. And that's something that for those of you who are familiar with the project books and portfolios, the second page of the portfolio actually has 4 questions for kids to fill out. And one of the questions is, what would you do to improve your club? And one of the questions is, what was your favorite part about 4-H this year? What was your favorite activity? And we read those as we're judging those project books in our parish. And more often than not, the answer to both of those questions has been some kind of service project that they've done, or that they, wanted to do more with their community, that they would, do more service activities, this, that, or the other. So that's always something to think about with your students. And the last one I want to talk about is promoting student buy-in. And there's a couple of different ways to do this. One of the big ones and easiest ones is having club officers or activity chairs. And I put activity chairs in there because every year I always have a couple of leaders contact me after the fact, because we have such a big emphasis on 4-H officers, but I've learned over the past couple of years of being a 4-H agent that sometimes having officers in your club, or the traditional officers, is just not really feasible. Whether you're a school that is, we've got a couple of schools who are only who only go up to 4th grade, so this is their first year in 4-H, and they might not really grasp the roles and the importance of those officer duties. And we have some clubs that may have 10 kids or less. And so when you have 10 kids and 5 of them are officers, it kind of makes some of the others feel left out. But it also doesn't give those officers much of a role to play in the club. So for those, I've worked with doing committee chairs, or activity chairs, where instead of having, one person be in charge of all of this stuff, you either rotate the officers each club meeting. And so if you do want to run a parliamentary procedure meeting, they all have their parliamentary procedure checklist and script. And you choose each month, you rotate between who sits as the president, who sits as the vice president, who sits as the secretary, and things like that. And that's a good way for those 4th grade classrooms, and even 4th and 5th grade classrooms, to try out all of those officer positions, to really learn what it means to be a club officer and what that duty is. And then for those smaller clubs, having those activity chairs, it gives an opportunity to step up, because oftentimes those are volunteer positions. So sometimes when you have officers running, your officers are just running because of a popularity contest. And those are the officers that get elected. And so they might not be the person that's best for the job. However, when you have an activity chair that's just volunteering for one activity, it's typically something that, they're excited about, they want to help you with. And so in turn, you'll get more help out of them, and you'll also give them a bigger sense of accomplishment, because that's something that, at the end of the day, they did. And that's something that they can put in their project book that they helped organize. And so when we see those non-traditional roles, we do see a lot of support from those students. And it's also important to celebrate your students' hard work. And that's not something that you need to necessarily do all the time, but something like an end of the year field trip, a lock-in, a pizza party, a banquet, anything like that. And we have different schools that do different things. A lot of our schools do a field trip. A few of them do a banquet at the end of the year, where they invite the parents and they talk about, who participated in shooting sports and who participated in this. They give away different awards at the school level that students wouldn't be able to receive at the parish level. Some of them, may not have that kind of time or even school support. And so they do a pizza party for one lunchtime at the end of the year. And that, that pizza party, sometimes it comes from money left over from dues. Sometimes it comes from fundraising or what have you. And then we also have some schools, we have a couple schools that do lock-ins, kind of like a church lock-in. Some do them until 10 o'clock at night. We have one that does it till midnight, and we have one that does it straight through until the next morning, which I know is a lot, but that's something that, you could make work for yourself. But they do those lock-ins, and they promote some of the different contests that we do at those lock-ins. They have fun activities for the kids. They do have pizza or something like that for the kids. So it's like a big party, but then they also use that time to work on posters for the poster contest, or work on their demonstrations for demonstration day, and even to work in their project books. So it's a fun way for those kids to get together, to do something different, and to celebrate, all the hard work that they've put in. Because while we do that on a parish level with Achievement Day, some kids aren't going to get recognized at Achievement Day because, one school might have 50 kids, but we have 1,000 kids in the parish that are coming to Achievement Day, that are participating in our contest. And so when you've got 1 out of 50, it's a lot more likely that they'll feel that sense of accomplishment when they're 1 out of 50 than when they're 1 out of 1,000. So it's just a fun way to let the kids know that you see what they've been doing. And then last, I want to talk a little bit about getting help where you need it, because you're already teachers or, professionals in the schools. And I know, that's a big job. It's a lot more than what a lot of people think it is. And so when you take on something extra, like being a 4-H club leader, we do really appreciate you. We really respect you. And we know that, you already don't have the time. So the time that you're finding to give to us, we really appreciate. But we also understand that you need help. And so some of our schools have gone to doing co-sponsors, where they have a lead teacher and then either other teachers or co-sponsors that might not always be in the club meetings, but they might help with transportation to events, or they might help with helping students with their project books or things like that. Or they also have paraprofessionals that help them. One of our schools, there's a teacher leader, and she has a para that is a co-sponsor, and her para is able to organize everything beforehand. She provides snacks for them and things like that. And that's certainly not something that you have to do by any means. But we do find that it does help when you have somebody there to support you as well. And, as your agents, I know in Livingston Parish, we're always happy to help wherever we can. But we also have, 45 clubs. And so, unfortunately, we can't, not only can we not be there all the time, but sometimes, we don't even get to make it to a couple of our club meetings just for lack of not being able to be in 2 places at once. And so having that support within your school is a big help. And also, remember to recruit your parents. And I say that with a caveat. I know that sometimes parents can be super helpful, but I also know that sometimes parents might not be the most helpful person out there. We find that when recruiting volunteers for our own events, when we go out, especially, overnight events, we have to make sure that when we're taking parents of kids, say, to summer camp, that parent is not going to be focused on their child, but they're also going to be focused on the other 75 children that we're bringing to summer camp. So I understand that sometimes those parents that really want to help might not be the best for the job, and that's okay. It's okay to say no. But if there is something that you could use that parent's help or a parent's help, one of the ways that some of our teachers have found to kind of help with those parents who like to overstep is to be very specific with their needs in recruiting parent help. And instead of, the parent just saying, oh, I'll help whatever you need this year, or you asking parents, can you help with the club this year? Be specific and ask, will you coordinate our club trip to the nursing home? Will you, talk to your school board representative and ask them to come speak at our club? Oftentimes those parents who like to overstep, when you do give them a little bit in those parameters, they can be a big help. And so remember, it is okay to say no, but it's also okay to utilize their help and to just be very, very specific when you're talking and when you're asking for help where needed. And one thing that's not up here, but you can also ask your parish junior leaders for help, especially those elementary and middle school clubs. Our junior leaders are our top students, or our top 4-Hers in the parish oftentimes, and they really love to help and promote that next group. And I know when you have those junior leaders involved, whether it's at a school function or at the parish function, that's where they get that biggest sense of accomplishment, is with helping those younger 4-Hers. So that's also an opportunity for you to reach out for some help. Do we have any questions? I'm sorry, I know that was a lot, but.
That was perfect, Michaela. Does anybody have any questions for Michaela? Well, thank you very much, ma'am, for your presentation. All right. Before we move on to the next presentation, I wanted to introduce a few people that were on the call, and I do apologize if I'm missing anyone, but I know we did have some Louisiana 4-H Volunteer Leaders Association officers on the training today. Susan Warner, who is our Southeast Regional Rep. Andy Alday is our Secretary. Elizabeth Espinoza, our Southwest Regional Rep. Fran Castile, Treasurer. And Colette Crawford, Vice President. I know there may be some others on the call, so please feel free to speak up if you're on the call and you are on the exec board or regional rep for the Volunteer Leader Association, but we do appreciate you coming to our meeting today. So next and last for today, but certainly not least, Ms. Dawn Culbreth, who is the 4-H agent in St. James Parish, is going to talk to you guys about the organizational leader report, which is a report that we do solicit the help of volunteers to fill out, and also how you can help your 4-H agent with service learning reporting. Ms. Dawn? Ms. Dawn, I think your mic is muted.
There we go. Is that better?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm having a little technical difficulties this morning. Okay. So I want to first welcome you. And I get to come in after everyone heard about the wonderful enrichment programs and Michaela's awesome ideas on recruiting volunteers, and I get to talk to you about paperwork. So I'm not real sure if that was really fair, but that's okay. This paperwork is extremely important, and we're just going to briefly discuss what it is. You receive it here in a packet, and we're just going to talk about what it is and why is it important. So, but I want to first of all welcome you and tell you thank you for being a volunteer in whatever capacity you were in. I was a volunteer for 5 years. I was a club leader before becoming an agent. So I understand the struggles, and the struggle is real at times. But without you, we could not do what we do, and we could not present the level of programming that we do. So I just want to personally thank you. And so today we're going to look at a few forms that you receive every year from your agent. Every parish is different. So I'm just going to discuss with you the broad, what as an agent we expect. Your agent can tweak things, and so just understand that. So we're going to look at the organizational leaders report, the letter of authorization, financial statement, and we're going to clarify community service projects and community service learning projects. So let's just start with organizational leader report. So why do we fill that out? It's because it's mandatory. So your agent is required to report these numbers to the state office at the end of each school year. If your parish decides based on club points, who is the top 4-H'er, and again, every parish is different, what club is the top club, this form can actually be invaluable to you to ensure that your club and your members are getting credit for everything that they participated in that year. The form is extremely simple. The hardest part is writing down all of your members' names in the left-hand column. That's the most difficult, time-consuming part. After that, all you're going to do is report on what member did what throughout the year. And what you're going to be reporting on is communication events, which could be demonstrations, presentations, speeches, reports, community service events, community service learning events, and leadership events, such as, did that individual, were they an officer in the club? Were they a committee chair? Were they a coordinator of the activities? That's it. You're just more or less, as you do an event, you're going to mark what child participated in it. The organizational leader report is utilized for many purposes, including giving the information to the legislative auditor. This form can be audited at any time. So it is very important that you have an attendance record that actually correlates with the form. And the numbers need to be as accurate as they possibly can be. It's not a fun task, but it's not a hard task or a difficult task. You could probably even, once the kids' names are on the report, you could probably even enlist the club president to help you mark off after an event who did what. Okay, so the letter of authorization, and why does your agent require this? This is a one-page form that is extremely mandatory. We have to keep this form in our office for, I believe, 5 years. The document is signed by the 4-H volunteer leader, the club president, and your agent. What this document states is that you will abide by the rules to use the 4-H name and the emblem, the wonderful, wonderful little clothing, rules behind it. They're not hard rules, but there are rules in using the clover because it is copyrighted. So you are giving the rules for this at the beginning of the school year. If for some reason you don't, ask for them, because the tail of the clover, it matters which way does it go. Does it lean towards the right? Does it lean towards the left? Sounds silly, but there are copyright rules that have to be followed. So the authorization also states is that your club is open to all students, and you will not discriminate on any level. And lastly, it states that the 4-H club will support the goals of leadership, character, and life skills development for all members. So this is a very important form, easy form. It's just a signature. When you get it at the beginning of the school year, I suggest go ahead, sign it, and send it right back as quick as possible to your agent. That form can be emailed. Okay, finances. Is it necessary to keep up with club finances? I understand most clubs, we're dealing with a very small amount of money, but it is definitely necessary for you to know what is coming in and going out of your club. So this is a one-page form. It is found in the Secretary's Handbook, and that is all it is. You are accounting for what was your balance to start with, what money did you bring in, and you may be asking, how are we bringing in money? Well, you may have a club T-shirt, and you may make $2 off of that T-shirt. Well, that goes into the club finances. You may decide to do a service project to where you've got to buy some supplies that will come out. That is going to be reflected in the finance report. We as agents, we have to fill out a different financial summary at the end of the year on all of our clubs. What money went into the club, what money came out. So it is very important that you keep up with this form and you give it to your agent at the end of the year so that we can show what the club did. Let's see. Okay, so now let's talk about community service projects and community service learning projects. In the beginning, when I was a volunteer, I will be honest and say I probably lumped everything into community service because I didn't really know that there was a difference. Oh, we did this event as community service. We did this community service, but there is a difference. So community service are projects that many 4-H clubs participate in to help churches, individuals, organizations, schools, and communities. The goal is to help the groups or people to better their program or life in some way. We hope that the youth providing the service learns things such as compassion, skills, etc. However, here's the key point. The learning in a community service project, the learning is secondary and unintentional. So if we just have a food drive, which is an example of one, you're just putting it out there, we're going to have a food drive for the food pantry. Kids come into the school, they drop off their food in these boxes, and the club or the pantry may come pick it up. They come pick it up. You provided a service to your community, but there really wasn't any learning involved. It was just it was a food drive. So other examples of community service projects: neighborhood cleanup, food drives, drive for other agencies, community gardens, a blood drive. So you are providing a service, but the kids in turn are not exactly learning anything. So a community service learning project is a fantastic life skill that we should all take time to learn and grow from. A community service learning project essentially is a community service project on steroids. I kind of like that when I read that, with intentional learning being the primary goal and the service being secondary. Now, I know that that kind of sounds, that it's just not right. That, service should be our first goal, and it should be for the community side of it. But our kids need to be learning and taking something away from the community projects that we are providing. So community service projects is more than just volunteering. The youth will, 1, determine a real need, 2, learn about the need, 3, plan a project that applies the knowledge they learned, 4, do the active service. So the practice of community learning supports the 4-H essential model of 4-H. So how important is it to report your community service and community learning activities to your agent? I cannot stress this enough. It is extremely important. We have to go into an entirely different system to report these numbers. And I realize to you, it may just be number, but to us, it could actually positively or negatively affect our funding. So state office, legislators, they want to see the impact that we are making on our community, whether it is just community service or if it's community service learning. We have to show numbers to ensure that our funding continues to stay where it is. I don't need to get into what happens if we don't have funding. So these numbers are very, very important. So these numbers are reflected on your organizational leader report, but also keep your agents involved and let them know periodically when you're having these events. first of all, the agents, if they can, they want to be involved. I know I do. If a school is conducting something that I can actually help with, I want to know. But also I can report as I go on these numbers. So all of these forms, they're not hard, they're not difficult, but nobody likes paperwork. But these forms are necessary in order for your agent to turn in at the end of the year accurate numbers, okay? Again, every parish can tweak these things a little bit differently. They may make a different form for you to fill out that they like better, but ultimately the goal is the same, the information is the same.
Miss Dawn, do you mind if I share some of the forms while you're talking?
No.
Because a few people have asked.
Go
okay,
ahead.
I'm gonna put them on right now. Okay, can y'all see that?
There it is. Okay, so that's the letter of authorization. Like I said, very simple. You just fill it out and sign it. And you're just saying you're going to abide by the copyright rules of the 4-H name, 4-H emblem. That's the financial statement that is found in the Secretary's handbook. There again, you're just reporting money coming in, money going out, and what the balance is. And that's your organizational leader report. Like I said, the most time-consuming part is putting your members' names in the left column, and then the rest, as you do an event, as the children do an event, you just mark it off. So it's not hard. It's not tedious. It's not really time consuming. I know as volunteers and leaders, especially if you are a teacher, it's just one more thing added to your plate. We understand that, and that is why I'm sitting here telling you we greatly appreciate everything you do for our kids, for this program. And your agent is there to help you. If you have a question, ask. If for some reason you don't receive one of these papers in the beginning of the school year, ask. And because many of us have multiple clubs, and there could be an oversight somewhere. But this information was given to you in a brief amount of time, and you do have the information that Renee is going to provide to you just so you can see examples. Thank you again for your dedication and the time that you put into this program. We could not conduct this program without you. Thank you. If you have any questions, ask away.
Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Dawn? And as you look at these forms, you may have questions after this meeting, and please do get with your 4-H agents if you do have those questions. Somebody in the chat said they're able to see the documents but not able to view or open. When I sent you the original email with the links to the training on it, I did include Ms. Dawn's handout, but I can include all those handouts again when I send you a follow-up email afterwards. Just to let everybody know, I will be sending a follow-up email afterwards for you guys to fill out an evaluation for us to help us to make this better for next year. So tomorrow, and I don't know if I said thank you, but thank you very much, Ms. Dawn, for giving us a little brief intro on that report and how important it is for us to do it. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about school project clubs. We're going to be talking about how to recruit youth to join your 4-H clubs, and also engaging high school youth. So we hope that you will all join us again tomorrow. And I just want to mention too, we have Miss Ruby Miller on the call, who is a VLA Southwest Region rep. So thank you, Miss Ruby, for being a part of our conference today. That's all that I have for today, but I'll be happy to stay on the call for a few minutes if anybody has any questions. And again, we appreciate everyone who took part today. and we hope to see you all again tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.